stalking, sex, and slaughtering blind people. Today we're going to take a look at 10 banned video games that shocked the world. Number 10, Mortal Kombat 1992. Since 1992, the Mortal Kombat series has sparked debates among the gaming community. The game's over-the-top action sequences and graphic violence assure that they received much attention, but no one anticipated them to result in the formation of a government agency. Critics consistently praised Mortal Kombat, but it was brutally renowned for glorifying murder. It enabled combatants to take the heart out of a defeated foe or take the skull off a fallen foe and display the appendage as a trophy. The famous message, "Finish him," that would constantly appear on the screen over-inspired players to do it. Because of the backlash caused by the original game, the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, ESRB, was created, mandating all video games to be rated and for these ratings to be displayed on the game's packaging. Number 9, Replay. Many of the games were prohibited only due to cultural misconceptions. However, it's not the same for Replay. The incredibly controversial game, created by the Japanese studio Illusion, was released in 2006 and almost instantly sparked a firestorm of negative feelings. The game Replay puts you in the shoes of a sexual predator and forces you to stalk and have sex with a mother and her 2 daughters. This is something that is completely messed up and unacceptable. Its topic drew international notice and sparked considerable controversy. It was banned in Argentina, Malaysia, Thailand, and other nations, but it eventually became famous. Number 8, Manhunt 2. The plot revolves around James Earl Cash, who fights his way through an army of street thugs sent after him by a cruel filmmaker. The filmmaker tracks Cash's every move and relishes from horrific executions. Players could conduct appalling crimes such as suffocating an opponent with a plastic bag and killing someone with a sickle, using a cat as a silencer for a gun. Manhunt is not for the faint of heart, as seen by its infamous reputation. The Manhunt series was banned in numerous countries, including Italy, Australia, and Ireland, after several countries deemed Rockstar had crossed a boundary with it. The game is still regarded as one of the most heinous ever made and one of Rockstar's most controversial. Number 7, Homefront. South Korea is an attractive landmark for both production and consumption. Many games are produced in Korea, and the best players are celebrated like rock stars. Well, here's one game they won't be playing in South Korea. It's been banned by the ROK. THQ-owned KO Studios are the ones that released Homefront, a contentious new first-person shooter for PC, Xbox 360, and PlayStation 3. Over 200,000 copies have already been prepaid before the game's release. The action in the Homefront game takes place in 2027, 2 years into North Korea's takeover of the United States. While this science fiction scenario may appear absurd at first glance, the developer collaborated with former CIA officer Tae Kim to depict a hypothetical future terror that is very much anchored on real-world current events and political maneuverings. However, other events in the game's backstory proved to be unexpectedly accurate. The death of North Korean leader Kim Jong-il in 2012, his son Kim Jong-un's takeover, and America being devastated by a fatal virus. Others are simply scaremongering, such as portraying North Korea as politically correct supervillains. Number 6, the Guy Game. The application Guy Game asks the player a series of trivia questions, and if you answer it correctly, you'll be shown images of young women cavorting on beaches, often barely naked. The PC, PS2, and Xbox-based quiz game has been banned in the US after a teenager claimed the title contained topless video photographs of her, not just utilized without her permission, but captured when she was a minor. Unfortunately, the complaint says the footage was taken when she was 17 years old. This not only makes the content illegal, but her status as a minor nullifies whatever permission she may have granted to the game's developers to take and or utilize the material. Number 4, Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4 China Rising is set in the year 2020 and portrays a fictional conflict in China initiated by Admiral Cheng with the aim to overthrow the current government. His victory will be backed by Russia, but it'll push China to conflict with the US, whose relationship with Russia is tense. The game depicts the United States' military combat against the coup and the Chinese Liberation Army. The Chinese government has formally banned the first-person shooter game Battlefield 4, blaming Electronic Arts, EA, for creating content that endangers the country's security. It also accused the game developer from the United States of depicting a type of cultural invasion. China's Ministry of Culture issued a notice barring any game-related content, including game downloads, demos, patch downloads, and news reports in any form. The ban validates prior predictions about the future of the EA game in China. A state-run newspaper, China Military, stated that Battlefield 4 smears China's image and was a new sort of cultural invasion. Number 4. Postal 2. Many games push the boundaries of foul taste, but none as hard as the Postal series. The long-running sandbox games put you in the shoes of an everyday Joe running errands, only to be driven into a violent, homicidal rage, and their anarchic style of humor is clearly an acquired taste. It's safe to say that New Zealand never got it. The penalty for possessing a copy is a whopping $1,400 fine. Postal 2 drew the most criticism from the public, with increased violence, drug and terrorist references, but it was proved that the game could be completed without murdering anyone, a wise move. Unfortunately for the developers, this tactic backfired and the game was banned in 13 countries. To safeguard its good name, the US Postal Service even sued the firm. The court case lasted 6 years localized. Number 3. Battlefield 3. Battlefield 3, a popular first-person shooter developed by Electronic Arts, has been banned in Iran. The game involves a fictitious US assault on Tehran, Iran's capital, in which several men are shot in the face. Unfortunately, the Iranian government was enraged and the game was ruled illegal. According to the Lebanon Daily Star, outlets selling the game have been raided, while others have withdrawn stock prior to the formal ban, predicting the action. However, authentic copies of the game are not available in Iran. EA has no distributors there. However, titles are frequently pirated, and these unauthorized versions are commonly available. A group of Iranian youngsters also started an internet petition against the game, which has received roughly 10,000 signatures. We recognize that the premise of a video game is fictitious, but we believe that the game was purposefully launched at a time when the US is spreading fear in the world community about Iran. Number 2. Football Manager 2005. The online game Football Manager 2005 has been banned in China, according to the Ministry of Culture, since it endangers the country's sovereignty and territorial integrity. According to a circular released by the ministry, Taipei of Taiwan, the Hong Kong-Macau area, and China is to better presented as independent countries in the game, which was designed by game producer Sports Interactive Limited. Even in a computer game, such distortion violates important Chinese regulations and is frowned upon by the Chinese government. After checking the contents of the Chinese press release and its local partner Ubisoft, publisher Sega was quick to respond in an attempt to appease the Chinese, claiming that the version in question is the English language product, which appears to have reached China through pirated or illegal means. To provide Chinese consumers with the finest football management game experience possible, Football Manager 2005 is being localized into simplified Chinese. The Sega statement read, "We will follow the correct submission and approval process within China and look forward to receiving input from Chinese authorities on any necessary revisions." Number 1. Harvester 1996. Harvester is a significant relic for horror video games and the 1990s as a whole, and the decade's relationship with these type of games. Harvester's violence, sex, and taboo desires are so over the top that it nearly feels like a joke at first. Harvester openly embraces the fact that it's one of the most preachy, nihilistic games you will ever come across, and that it pushes an extremely heavy-handed storyline that behaves as if this game has the capacity to transform the future of gaming and single-handedly fix the problem of video game violence. The game is banned in Germany, and the terrible Mystery of Motherly Love scene, in which a mother's children cannibalize her and she enjoys it, is deleted from the UK and Australian releases. The main character, Steve Mason, wakes up in some Stepford-style Pleasantville with no knowledge of who he is or the woman he's supposedly set to marry. Furthermore, she does not, but the rest of the small town goes on as Twin Peaks residents. The game's last act in the lodge turns from puzzle solving to more action-based murdering and introduces some arbitrary weapons such as scythe, nail gun, and shotgun. Steve theoretically only has to slaughter everyone he meets, including a blind man, and the game briefly loses track of its story. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. See you in the next episode of Stay Wise.